Community is a gem, one that's gained more traction this year than the whole of its runtime. You know, 5 years later. It's written by the guy that co-wrote. For those who may be asking,
what is community college?
I say,
You have to ask, your street's fine.
okay, fine, let's do a quick Google search and great.
A former lawyer attends a community college when it is discovered he faked his bachelor's degree. In an attempt to get with a student in his Spanish class, he forms a Spanish study group. To his surprise, more people attend the study group and the group of misfits form an unlikely community.
Yeah, that's pretty generic. And that's because the first season kind of is, at least it starts off that way. Season 1 is 25 episodes long and broken up into 2 parts. Part 1 covers 1 to 12, Part 2 covers 13 to 25. And whilst Part 1 has its highlights,
The Soul Train Awards were tonight!
Community really becomes loved around here. But to explain why that is, we need to address the problems in the first half. So let's do that.
Sloppy. And considering the age of these girls, unwittingly creepy.
Episode 1 establishes Britta as the most basic knows the word venti from coffee bitch you've ever seen.
20. Oh, I know that one. She wants a large coffee.
She's bland and dull and other vague yet seemingly similar synonyms. Or the SSS. What I'm trying to say is, she's perfect. And that ain't a good thing. There's a difference in saying this character's perfect and this is a perfect character. A perfect character is one riddled with flaws and negative traits that immediately establish their relationship with other characters, or make it expressly clear what their reactions in certain situations would be. Whilst the character that is perfect has no such thing, their flawless attributes actively limits them from being anything more than one thing. Perfect. They may have problems, but none of it stems from themselves. Any failures are the faults of external sources, and the through line is, they are the victim and never the aggressor.
Culturally, it's unacceptable, but it's theatrical dynamite.
And no, smoking isn't a character flaw.
Listen.
Now you know, I'm a smoker.
Struggling with Spanish could be a flaw,
I really need help with Spanish.
Yeah, I was willing to bet. I'm Jeff.
but there's no reason to believe this is due to anything else but Spanish being a difficult language to learn. So, really the only flaw established with Britta isn't even a flaw. So, really she's just a love interest who says generic hipster lines.
Jeff, my deal is above all else, honesty.
Thankfully, she does improve throughout the first half, even giving some of the best moments in the 12 episodes.
If you really want us to be your second family, then you've got to start treating us like one.
But first impressions are everything, and with one as lifeless as this, it does put it in the audience's head that Britta is uninteresting, which hurts even more as she is the love interest, which is the ultimate hook of the show.
What's the deal with the hot girl from Spanish class?
It intends on viewers to tune in to figure out what's going to happen to Jeff and Britta, similar to Jim and Pam, Ross and Rachel, and Leslie and Ben.
Oh, take that, Curse.
Take that, Curse.
But they spend little to no time to give us reasons to care about their relationship. There's no reward. Let's take Jim and Pam for example. The Office is at its best when Michael and Dwight are in the middle of an insane situation only making things worse.
I need your urine.
Like in a cup.
Yes, in a cup. We're not animals, Dwight.
And Jim and Pam are making the best of a dull situation.
I do not think that is funny.
It understands that, which is why when Jim leaves Scranton to work in a different branch, the show intentionally hypes up their reunion because it knows that those little moments between them makes The Office what it is.
How far away did you think we were?
I don't know. It felt far.
Yeah.
That's why people hate Karen, not because she was a bad person or in the wrong, which she wasn't, but because she was a direct obstacle to our reward.
Pam is kind of a bitch.
This is a complete opposite with Jeff and Britta. The reward is that they're separated because they're allowed to be more expressive away from each other, as they don't need to fall into typical romantic tropes.
That's racist.
Your soul.
That's racist. Your eyes? That's gay.
That's homophobic.
That's black.
That's racist.
Damn.
It's not all bad. Episode 5 does a fantastic job in using their romantic chemistry to develop character.
Just have more experience being worthless. I think I left that crib sheet on the floor because I wanted to get caught.
But it's too little too late. That's where I'm going to stop tearing into Community, because other than a couple flat jokes,
say you have to pee, I need to talk to you,
and odd character choices at the start,
That means you do my homework, right, Seacrest?
Community's first half is quite good. The biggest issues come from almost every episode attempting to address the issues in the beginning, so really it's not allowed to shine in its own right. Until this happens.
You guys don't remember me? Buddy?
I've been quite harsh so far. But really the harshness towards the first half is to establish the brilliance of the second. So with that being said, Alvaro, take it away.
And I'm gonna move her luscious fanny all day long.
Hey, Buddy can sing, you guys. Wow, that's great. And he's pretty young. We try not to sexualize her.
Buddy's a breath of fresh air in Community, coming in at episode 13 when the show had a break, giving the writers more time to look back at what did and didn't work. And they addressed pretty much everything, all thanks to this guy.
Did anyone see Paul Blart Mall Cop? Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Buddy represents something big for Community. The community. They use him to not only explore character ideals, but also to test and make fun of select audiences. You know, the type that enjoys the Big Bang Theory.
Bazinga.
Those that complained about the show's weirdness and thought it only got worse after its pilot, they mocked this throughout, but the best example is here.
Let's get one thing straight. I wish I was still a lawyer. I'm only here because I'm hot for Britta, and I don't want to be anybody's friend.
Just kidding. Bring it in!
What seems to be a reset of Jeff's personality turns out to be a mockery of it.
I gotta say, I took a look back at the guy I was last semester, and I realized that guy was a drag.
They understand that the majority of audiences enjoy simplified, true-to-life stories, so it mocks that with Jeff's relaxed exterior.
Oh, come on. Be relaxed, like me.
Which ultimately leads to everything getting out of hand.
Yeah, no. No, I want to say anything. No!
It's a criticism of a typical sitcom protagonist, one that's always passive, which only makes the situation worse until it's magically resolved at the end. In any other circumstance, Jeff would have immediately removed Buddy from the group because of his direct, straight-to-the-point personality.
You and I are going to study harder than we've ever studied before and beat City College tomorrow.
Really?
No. Who am I, iCarly?
The tension comes from internal issues rather than an external problem.
I'm the same uptight jerk I was last semester.
And that's where the comedy comes from.
My best friend, when I was 6 years old, was a black man.
Well, and just Jack Jablinski Games Black.
Make me. Hitler.
But that's not all. Community improves in every aspect of what made its first half great. The comedy is stronger than ever.
Chemistry. Sexy. You know what else is sexy? Annie.
I know chemistry is sexy, but Annie, I don't see it.
Slut!
And the characters are so well realized, you could have sworn you've known them all your life.
Jeffrey, when I was born, I got my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, both arms, and one of my ankles. Mom said that there came a point when the doctor stopped delivering me and just started laughing. I mean, if I ever let being bad at something stop me, I wouldn't even be here. That thing some men call failure, I call living. Breakfast. And I'm not leaving till I've cleaned out the buffet.
And this is best shown in episode 21, Contemporary American Poultry, or better known as the Mafia episode. This is where Community stopped being a comedy and started being a genre parody.
In italics.
In this episode, we follow Abed's journey from being the weirdo of the group to the leader. Able to provide for them, Abed dethrones Jeff before it all crumbles around him. With nothing to do and nowhere to go, he spends his nights thinking of a new formula, new fried food to capitalize from, until Jeff saves him from the nightmare that is being a leader.
I'm here to dismantle the Friar. To cut your power off at its source.
Starting off, his intentions were less than selfless, but after seeing what it did to Abed, he resents it.
Don't you see what happened? I manipulated the group into getting you the fry cook job so I could have some chicken. And you turned it all into a way to make everyone like you. Made me ashamed of myself. Made me jealous.
We discover so much about their characters. We see how desperate Abed is to be accepted by the group, and just how important being a leader is to Jeff. It's something we always knew, but to see it conveyed visually really puts it into perspective for us. And this is all from a Mafia parody about a study group wanting chicken fingers.
Wow. You just wrinkled my brain, man.
It's not just a great story exploring character relationships with a fun Mafia parody. The Mafia parody directly affects the story. We could not explore these themes without it. This is further shown in episode 23, Modern Warfare, or the Paintball episode. During a paintball match gone warfare throughout the whole school, all thanks to the prize.
The paintball game was starting, and the dean announced the prize,
which turns out to be priority registration.
Does that mean what I think it means? Like you could have first choice of your classes next semester?
The group unites to strengthen their numbers, but after a whole year of them dealing with the romantic bickering between Jeff and Britta, they grow tired of the needless charades.
Shut up!
Jeez.
Half the group is wiped out.
That is so uninspired.
Don't come over here, okay? Screw you, I'm coming over there.
They make it out.
Write some original songs!
And settle down in the cafeteria as they discuss their future and what they would do with priority registration.
I'll make my schedule airtight. Maybe get out of here in 3 years instead of 4.
I'd take any class with no tests and no papers. What would you do, Shirley?
Shirley wants to take all her morning classes so she can spend time with her boys. This evokes Britta to say,
You know what? I say if any of us win the prize, we give it to Shirley as a Mother's Day gift.
but Jeff takes issue with this and criticizes Britta.
I am so sick of you guilting people with your phony humanitarian shtick.
Phony? When I win, you can watch me do it.
Of course you'll do it, but that will make it less phony. You know, you'd be a lot more likable
If I never did anything for anybody ever.
Yeah, because when you help people, that always turns out great.
Unfortunately, Shirley and Albert are taken out.
Shirley, I'm gonna win that prize for you and your boys.
That's nice.
Shirley, I'm gonna win that prize, but not for you and your boys.
That's less nice.
As Britta patches Jeff's overworked torso up in the study room, it leads to a big confession from her and an openness from him.
You're right, you know. I am a phony. I try to act compassionate because I'm afraid that I'm not.
Oh, please. I invented phony. You care about people. I accuse you of faking to convince myself I'm not such a jerk.
Before finally, Jeff wins the prize.
What do you want from me, Jeffrey?
Guess.
And as a last minute twist, gifts it to Shirley.
I hereby award this to the best soldier, Shirley.
As Britta and Jeff pretend nothing happened between them.
It didn't happen. It's not that it was a mistake, it's just that it didn't happen.
This episode both addresses and resolves every issue with Jeff and Britta's romance. It's clear the writers understand this when Albert says,
To be blunt, Jeff and Britta is no Ross and Rachel. Your sexual tension and lack of chemistry are putting us all on edge, which is why, ironically, and hear this on every level, you're keeping us from being friends.
and Jeff gifting the priority registration to Shirley isn't just a showcase of kindness, it's a development that directly comes from Britta. In other words, a reward for both Shirley and the audience, as we would already have a connection with her and want her to be happy. They also address Britta's fears and weaknesses, her need to overcompensate to feel better about herself without actually doing any of the work. They do touch on this in previous episodes, but they finally resolve it by the end as she sacrifices herself for Jeff. And this is also well explored through the setting of warfare, with paint. It's not just a backdrop to a romance, it's a thematic parallel to it. Jeff and Britta are hostile and tactical with their approach. It's not about kindness and warmth, it's about survival and passion. It's why once it all ends, they pretend it didn't happen because it wasn't an expression of love, but a release of romance. And this is further illustrated in the finale, episode 25.
Hi! Oh shoot, I forgot saying that summons him.
After Britta was nominated as transfer queen, the group pretends to transfer formal.
Some folks say transfer formal isn't really rolling off the tongue, so we're just gonna call it the tranny dance.
Much more Greendale.
Where Britta confesses she loves Jeff,
I love you.
but not because she actually loves him, no. Instead, it's a competition against Slater, Jeff's ex. Evident by her response to Jeff's question.
You love me?
Do you love me?
I have something to say. Jeff, I love you.
I wonder where she got that from.
I'm sorry, do you have a patent on loving people?
Would you like a patent and getting your ass kicked?
Like a dividend?
And the final nail in the coffin, Jeff leaves after the crowd chants for an answer.
Bring Conan back!
And he finds Annie outside, where he discusses the merits of being with Britta or Slater.
So, do you try to evolve? Or do you try to know what you are?
But, before that can be answered, they kiss. It's an acknowledgement of Jeff and Britta's connection and their underlying fault as romantic partners. Britta doesn't do anything for Jeff's character, or vice versa. They aren't compatible as romantic TV couples because neither share the same interest. This issue doesn't exist with Annie. Throughout the show, they have constant chemistry, both romantic and friendly.
My lady.
My lord.
And a big part of this was Annie was allowed to be her own character, with her own flaws and strengths even before matching them up.
Well, guess what, handsome hobo? Your gravy train's leaving the station.
Ignore what she's doing. We are serious.
So whilst them kissing at the end is a total surprise, it isn't out of nowhere.
You look like a travel agent.
You don't like it? I was going for more of a professor thing.
What? Why?
What?
Nothing.
And that's where we'll wrap this up.
There's a lot more we want to go through another time as we discuss the later seasons. Stuff like Troy and Abed.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Me llamo T-Bone, la araña discoteca.
The insanity of the world. And just the side characters altogether.
This is the least tight thing that's ever happened to me.
Had I not already cried at the sunrise this morning, I would be weeping right now.
Tell me, Dean, when I refer to you in my article, would you prefer imbecile or incompetent?
I prefer incompetent, but what I really want...
By Zeus, what sort of jackassery is this? We're in the middle of a championship debate.
Hi, Vaughn. Can we talk sometime? I'm really sorry about how things ended.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that I can't accept your apology because you're toxic, Britta. You know what? You're like the exact opposite of an antioxidant. Yeah. I got band practice late.
Can't we still be friends? Isn't the word later already short enough?
But for the sake of a concise script, we've held those for another video.
Thank you so much for watching. Look out for more of our videos released at least once a year. This is our first. Subscribe, like, and follow us on social media if you want to keep the conversation going.
Have any ideas for videos you'd like to see discussed next? Then let us know in the comments below. We've been Owlberry.
Late!